How long have you been a practicing Catholic?
All my life.
Okay. When do you use daily prayer, and how long does it take?
Um, okay. I don't sit down and pray per se. I just pray throughout the day depending on what's going on, and so, and in the shower, and in the car, things like that. So there's no set time, no set length.
Yeah. So how does daily prayer deepen or enrich your faith? Or just prayer?
For me, it helps me, clears my mind, and it helps me like make sense of certain things that might be going on in my life. It gives me, like I said, clarity, and it helps me see, like make connections and see, God working in my life in certain ways.
Do you think Catholics today have turned away from daily prayer? Why or why not?
Well, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do pray, but I don't think that they realize that they're praying just because they think of prayer as what I said, sitting down somewhere and just literally, taking time off, which is good. You need that every once in a while. We can be praying throughout the day. When we just ask God to help us or ask God to give us clarity. So I think that people do pray, but a lot of times I don't think they realize that that's what they're actually doing.
Would you recommend other Catholics to take up daily prayer?
Yeah, definitely. Again, just to help you get through life. I think it keeps you sane. At least it keeps me sane.
How do you think you would go about enriching people back into daily prayer?
Well, I teach about it in class, just not by lecturing, but just sharing my own prayer experiences with the girls. So I think that's one way.
Okay, what's your name and how old are you?
Mi nombre es Sandra Montero y tengo 44 años.
How long have you been a practicing Catholic?
Desde que nací, 44 años.
And when do you usually pray, and how long does it take you to do this?
Generalmente rezo en la noche y me toma como unos 5 minutos.
Y any other time of the day?
Cuando hay una persona que está enferma o cuando tengo algún problema o cuando voy en el coche, me pongo a rezar, y la forma en que me gusta rezar generalmente es platicar con Dios.
Okay. Do you think that praying daily deepens and enriches your faith?
Sí, yo creo que Dios siempre tiene que estar presente en cada una de las cosas que uno hace, porque Él siempre está junto a nosotros y Él es el que nos da fortaleza para seguir adelante todos los días.
Do you think would you recommend other Catholics to pray, and why?
Yo creo que sí, todos los católicos deberían de rezar porque es la manera de estar cerca de Dios y Él siempre nos está ayudando. Nosotros nunca nos damos cuenta, pero en cada cosa que pasa en el día, siempre Él está presente y nos está ayudando.
Do you think that Catholics today have turned away from praying, and why do you think so?
Yo creo que sí, yo creo que mucha gente no solamente ha dejado de rezar siendo católico, sino que más bien también se han ido a otros tipos de religiones, porque no se sienten cómodos en la religión católica, porque muchas cosas no les gustan, hay muchas cosas que los están apartando porque la ideología de la Iglesia Católica no va con la manera de pensar que tienen. Pero ahora con el nuevo Papa, yo creo que las cosas van a empezar a cambiar y la gente católica va a regresar y va a aplicar otro tipo, todas las reformas que está haciendo el Papa.
I agree. How do you think that we should go about engaging people back into praying daily?
Yo creo que la manera sería que la iglesia sea un poco más abierta y explicarles que no es ir a hincarse a la iglesia, que se puede hacer en cualquier momento del día y que no tiene que ser precisamente una oración, que puede ser también platicar con Él y siempre acordarse y darle gracias a Dios todos los días. pero sería platicarles para que sepan que existen otras maneras de rezar, no ir a la iglesia, hincarte y pasarte horas hincado en la iglesia rezando.
Okay. Thank you.
Nada.
Have you learned anything new about this practice or tradition? Be specific.
Yes, when I was reading the parts of the catechism that talk about prayer, I learned that it actually lists a lot of common things that might lead us to have failure in prayer, such as like distraction, like when other things in our lives are taking away from prayer, or when we're going through hard times, we may like not find the time to pray. We may have a lack of faith that would lead us not to pray, but those are actually the times when we should be praying more.
Have you been using this practice or tradition in your life as a Catholic or a Christian?
Yes, ever since I was little, my whole family has always prayed, and prayer has been one of the most important parts of like our lives as Catholics. So,
If you have, how have you been using it? If you haven't, do you think you will try to use it in the future? Why or why not?
I use prayer in a personal way. I don't really do like the rosary or anything like that. I just say like a personal prayer at night. That's more of like a conversation than anything else.
What are some concerns or points you do not see eye to eye with from your practice? Why?
Well, even though Matthew Kelly didn't mention it, I never really understood the rosary because at my old school they taught that it was supposed to be like a time of reflection, but it's so long that I feel like you get distracted and it kind of defeats the purpose of prayer because your mind trails off to other things.
What has this project taught you? Any final comments?
This project has taught me that even though like you might not be praying for a super long time or you may forget to do it some days, the days that you do it can truly change your life and it can impact the mood that you have in your day or how confident you feel in your faith and how close you feel to God. So it may seem like it's not going to make a big difference, but it actually does.
Have you learned anything new about this practice? Be specific.
I learned that there's like the 3 forms of prayer, which is like vocal prayer, the contemplative prayer, and the meditation. I didn't like realize that there was like different ways to pray.
Have you been using this practice in your life as a Catholic?
Yes.
If you have, how have you been using it?
When I was little, I was brought up like learning how to pray, and in school we would always pray like every time we ate lunch. But like as I've grown up, I've like kind of gotten out of the habit of it.
What are some concerns or points you did not see eye to eye with from your practice? Why?
The concern with reading the scripture as a prayer because I personally don't think that it'll like benefit me.
What has this project taught you? Any final comments?
That there are the obstacles that stray us from praying every day and that we don't realize how important prayer is throughout our daily lives.
Have you learned anything new about this practice or tradition? Be specific.
I didn't know that there were so many obstacles. When you think to just pray, you kind of pray, you don't realize what other side effects there may be.
Have you been using this practice or tradition in your life as a Catholic?
Yes.
If you have, how have you been using it?
Well, for example, on the way to school every day when my dad used to take my sister and I, we would pray in the morning. And also my parents are part of a Catholic group. So every night we do like a Hudak family meeting and we pray in the beginning and then we just kind of talk about our days.
What are some concerns or points you do not see eye to eye with from your practice?
I don't really have any. The only minor one I have is I agree that if I do pray every day, I kind of see it like becoming a little meaningless and
What has this project taught you? Final comments.
how much the little prayer affects us, even, like I agree with Amanda, like even in the slightest bit, like it puts me in a better mood. Have you learned anything new about this practice? Be specific.
I learned that you can incorporate prayer into like every single aspect of your life. For example, I didn't think that like while you were working, you could incorporate prayer into that, or like in any daily action you could also be praying.
Have you been using this practice in your life as a Catholic?
Yeah, my family and I have been praying ever since I was little, and like as I've gotten older, it has gotten harder to pray with like the distractions in my life, but I try to make an effort to pray as often as possible.
If you have, how have you been using it? If you haven't, do you think you will try to use it in the future? Why or why not?
Well, a lot of the times I'll try to pray through songs, so I'll find like songs that'll get me into like that prayerful mood.
What are some concerns or points you do not see eye to eye with from your practice? Why?
I don't really have any concerns about daily prayer. I think that it's like important. It's like one of the main things that you should do to strengthen your relationship with God.
What has this project taught you? Final comments.
It's made me aware to pray more, and like it's made me aware that I can like everything I can do can be a form of prayer. It doesn't just have to be like a conversation in my head. It could be through my daily actions.
Have you learned anything new about this practice? Be specific.
Before I did this project, I didn't realize that there were so many obstacles to actually praying, especially Acadia, which is what leads people to be careless in prayer.
Have you been using this practice in your life as a Catholic?
Yes.
If you have, how have you been using it? If you haven't, do you think you will try to use it in the future? Why not?
When I was little, my parents taught me how to pray, and I would pray with them every night before I went to sleep. And now, even though I don't pray with them every night, I still set time aside to pray with them.
What are some concerns or points you do not see eye to eye with from your practice? Why?
I don't see eye to eye with emphasizing prayer every day, because when I do that, it becomes less meaningful and it becomes more of a routine. I feel like as a church, we should emphasize praying with purpose rather than praying with a routine.
What has this project taught you? Any final comments?
This project taught me how important it is to have prayer as a part of my life and how it can lead me closer to God. Also, now that I've learned all the different obstacles to prayer, I now know how to pray.